Deep within the jagged mountains of West Virginia, where the fog clings to the trees like a funeral shroud, lies a place locals only whisper about: Black Creek Hills. You see, most legends die with the people who tell them, but some stories, they stay hungry. They wait for someone curious enough to come looking. Meet Gage Barker, a young, ambitious filmmaker who didn't just want to tell a story, he wanted to capture absolute terror on film. Along with his friends Riker, Jake, and Ryan, Gage set out on a journey that would lead them straight into the jaws of a nightmare. They thought they were making a documentary about a local myth. They didn't realize they were auditioning for their own deaths. The legend of Red Eye isn't just a tale of a ghost. It's a tragedy born from the Great Depression. Imagine a family starving in these very woods. The hunger became so agonizing that a father and mother did the unthinkable. They looked at their own children not as flesh and blood, but as meat. The father's thirst for blood became so severe, so demonic, that it transformed him. His right eye turned a deep, pulsating red, a mark of the cannibalistic beast he had become. As Gage and his crew drive deeper into the wilderness, the atmosphere shifts. The radio crackles with static, and the air turns heavy. Jake, the skeptic, cracks jokes to hide his unease. Riker, tough and guarded, senses something is wrong. And Ryan? She carries a secret that will soon be soaked in blood. They are miles away from civilization now. No cell service, no help. Only the sound of the wind whistling through the pines, sounding suspiciously like a human scream. Gage keeps the camera rolling, obsessed with the perfect shot. But in Black Creek Hills, the shadows are watching back, and they've been waiting a long, long time for fresh blood. The winding roads of Black Creek are a labyrinth of gravel and broken dreams. Just as the heat begins to feel like a physical weight on the crew, they spot it, a broken-down truck on the shoulder of the road. Against Jake's better judgment, Gage insists they pull over. There she is, a woman standing by the vehicle, looking as weathered as the landscape itself. She doesn't look like a threat, but there's an emptiness in her gaze that should have sent them running. She tells them her name is Bee. She speaks of her younger brother, Barry, an autistic boy who, she says, never quite got over the stories of Red Eye. But listen closely to her words. She tells Gage and his friends that her parents passed away, leaving her to care for Barry in the isolation of these hills. She mentions a chilling detail. Barry once saw a tall, burly man in overalls with a sack over his head, lurking near their house. When Bee went to investigate, all she found were bloody footprints. The crew laughs it off as local folklore, but Bee's final warning is what chills the marrow. She looks Riker dead in the eye and says, "If you scream, no one's going to hear you, and if you get lost, you're lost." As they drive away, leaving Bee and her broken truck behind, the silence in the car is deafening. They don't realize that Bee wasn't just a passerby. She was a gatekeeper, and they've just been granted entry into a slaughterhouse with no exits. Gage continues to film, his lens capturing the nervous sweat on his friend's brows. He's looking for the truth behind Red Eye, but the truth is already sitting in the back seat with them. The legend isn't just in the history books. It's alive, it's hungry, and it's wearing a mask of human skin. Leaving the safety of the asphalt feels like stepping into another dimension. The canopy of ancient oaks swallows the sunlight, leaving the crew in a suffocating emerald twilight. Gage leads the way, his eyes fixed on his GPS and his camera, seemingly indifferent to the rising dread in his friends' voices. They aren't just hiking, they are trespassing on ground that has tasted human blood for decades. As they trek deeper into the Black Creek wilderness, the banter stops. The forest is too quiet. No birds, no insects, just the rhythmic crunch of dry leaves and the sound of their own panicked breathing. Gage stops them at a clearing, his voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. This is the spot. This is where the killings happened. He's referring to the very earth where the Red Eye patriarch allegedly butchered his family. Jake and Riker begin setting up the tents, but the air feels wrong. It's too heavy, like someone is standing just inches behind them, watching their every move. Then, the silence is shattered. A metallic snap echoes through the valley, followed by a scream that sounds less like a human and more like a dying animal. It's Ryan. The crew rushes to her, and the sight is nauseating. A rusted, jagged live trap, designed for large predators, has clamped shut around Ryan's leg. The teeth of the trap have bitten deep into the bone, and the forest floor is quickly turning a dark, slick crimson. But here's the terrifying part. How did a fresh, oiled trap end up exactly where they were told to camp? As they struggle to pry the iron jaws open, Riker looks up and freezes. Through the dense thicket, she sees it. A tall, hulking figure wearing a tattered burlap sack over its head. It's not moving, it's just standing there, watching. Before she can even scream, the figure vanishes back into the shadows. They realize then that they aren't alone. The trap wasn't for a bear, it was for them, and the hunt has officially begun. As the sun dips below the horizon, the forest of Black Creek Hills doesn't just get dark, it becomes a tomb. With Ryan's leg mangled and the car sabotaged, the group is forced into a desperate state of confession. There is something about the proximity of death that strips away the masks we wear. In the flickering light of a dying campfire, the air is thick with more than just the scent of pine and blood. It's thick with guilt. Ryan, pale and trembling, finally speaks a truth that hits harder than any physical blow. She's pregnant, 2 months along, but the silence that follows isn't one of support. It's a jagged, cold realization. The father isn't some distant stranger. It's Jake, Riker's boyfriend. The betrayal hangs between them like a physical wall. Jake, usually the loudmouthed skeptic, is suddenly small, his eyes darting to Riker, who looks like she's been turned to stone. In this godforsaken woods, their friendship, the only thing they had to protect them, is rotting from the inside out. But watch Gage. While his friends are breaking down, while tears are streaming and accusations are flying, Gage doesn't lower his camera. He's leaning in. He's adjusting the focus. He's capturing every sob, every look of pure hatred between Riker and Ryan. He isn't a friend trying to comfort them. He's a director witnessing his masterpiece come to life. Is this why they are here? Was the legend of Red Eye just a lure to get them to this state of emotional carnage? As the wind picks up, carrying a low, guttural growl from the thicket, they realize that the beast outside isn't their only problem. The monsters they brought with them, their secrets, their lies, their infidelities, are just as hungry. And in the world of Red Eye, sin always demands a blood sacrifice. The time for secrets is over. The time for survival has begun. As the shadows of Black Creek Hills stretch into long, distorted fingers, the Red Eye is no longer a legend whispered in the dark. It is a physical, hulking presence that smells of rotted meat and wet earth. Suddenly, the silence is punctuated by a heavy, rhythmic thud. Thump, thump, thump. It's the sound of boots. Massive, mud-caked boots, crushing the undergrowth. Jake is the first to see it. Emerging from the tree line like a nightmare made flesh is the figure. A towering man in filth-stained overalls, his face hidden behind a grotesque burlap sack. But it's the eyes, or rather, the one eye visible through a jagged tear in the fabric, that stops their hearts. It is a deep, glowing, unnatural crimson, the eye of a cannibal. Jake tries to stand his ground, a desperate bravado masking his terror, but the red-eyed beast doesn't hesitate. With a roar that sounds like grinding stones, it lunges. The violence is sudden and absolute. A massive, rusted blade, half cleaver, half machete, swings through the air with a sickening whoosh. Ryan screams, but her mangled leg keeps her pinned to the spot. Riker tries to pull Jake back, but it's too late. The beast's hand, huge and calloused, clamps around Jake's throat like a vice. In the chaos, the camera lens is splattered with a warm, dark liquid. Is it mud? Or is it the lifeblood of a friend? But look at the camera. Gage isn't running. He isn't fighting. He's circling the struggle, his breathing heavy but controlled. He's capturing the exact moment the light leaves Jake's eyes. He's filming the terror on Riker's face as she realizes her boyfriend is being butchered like livestock. The beast isn't just killing them, it's performing for the lens. And Gage? He's the most dedicated audience member in the world. As Jake's body falls limp into the leaves, the beast turns its singular glowing red eye toward the camera. It doesn't attack Gage, it nods, a silent acknowledgement between two predators. The air in the clearing has changed. It no longer smells of the forest, it smells of copper and betrayal. As Jake's body lies cooling in the dirt, the screaming stops. Not because the danger is gone, but because Riker and Ryan are paralyzed by a realization far more terrifying than any monster. The beast, the red eye that just butchered their friend, stands perfectly still. It doesn't lunge for Gage. It doesn't swing its blade. Instead, it waits. It waits for Gage to check his light settings. It waits for Gage to wipe a drop of blood off his lens with the corner of his shirt. Gage looks up from the viewfinder, and for the first time, his face isn't masked by concern or fear. It's glowing with a sick, ecstatic pride. "Do you see it now?" he asks, his voice devoid of any human warmth. The framing, the raw emotion. You couldn't act this if you tried. The legend of Red Eye wasn't a myth Gage found. It was a script he wrote. The monster behind the burlap sack isn't a ghost from the Great Depression. It's a man named Barry, the autistic brother B mentioned earlier. Gage didn't just stumble upon them. He recruited them. He paid for their silence with the promise of a masterpiece. He spent years planning this, working a shitty part-time job just to fund a movie where the deaths were real and the terror was unscripted. Riker screams at him, calling him a monster, a sick fuck, but Gage only smiles. To him, Riker isn't a person anymore. She's a supporting character whose only purpose is to die beautifully for the final act. He reveals the most twisted part of his plot. He knew about the pregnancy. He knew about the affair. He used their personal agony to heighten the drama of his film. "Everybody loves a good murder," Gage whispers, leaning into Riker's face. Provided they're not the victim, of course. He's not just a filmmaker anymore. He's a god in this small patch of woods, deciding who lives, who dies, and who becomes a star in a snuff film that the world will never forget. The cameras are still rolling. The forest floor is now a canvas of crimson, and Riker's screams have faded into a desperate, rattling plea. Gage stands over her, his eyes reflecting the cold lens of his camera. To him, this isn't a murder, it's the perfect scene. "You wanted to be in a horror flick, Riker," Gage whispers, his voice dripping with a sick, melodic irony. "Well, look around. You're the star." This is the moment the protagonist realizes there is no hero coming to save her. With a nod from Gage, the beast, Barry, steps forward. The jagged blade rises, catching the last sliver of moonlight before it descends. The screen goes black. Only the sound of the wind remains, carrying the final, sickening thud of the director's vision coming to life. Cut to a few days later. The sun is shining on the West Virginia hills as if they don't hold a graveyard within them. Gage Barker is back on the road, looking clean, professional, and disturbingly calm. He's filming his outro. "My name is Gage Barker," he tells the camera with a charming smile, "and you've just watched my first film, Red Eye." In this industry, passion is everything. You have to be willing to bleed for your art. He believes he's won. He believes he's the mastermind who escaped the darkness. But as he walks toward his car, he stops. In the distance, standing by the very same broken-down truck where this nightmare began, is B. She isn't smiling this time. She's looking past Gage into the dark tree line where a single glowing red eye reflects the sun. You see, Gage thought he was the director. He thought he was using the legend. But in Black Creek Hills, the legend uses you. The hunger of Red Eye doesn't care about cinematic framing or supporting characters. It only cares about the harvest. And Gage Barker, with all his ambition and his blood-stained tapes, has just become the most flavorful offering of all. As the credits roll over the sound of a camera crashing to the gravel, ask yourself, when you watch a horror story, are you just an observer? Or are you the silent accomplice, feeding the monster with your curiosity? Sleep well tonight. And if you hear a branch snap outside your window, don't look for a camera, just run.